Extreme weather events have been making headlines on a regular basis, and a discussion on what is causing them unavoidably brings the thorny issue of climate change back to center stage.
People just can't stop talking about this mysterious boom heard throughout western New York.
Black road in Russia, suddenly alive with a mysterious flash of light that turns night air into day.
Well, the Grand Canyon was even more spectacular than usual, if that's possible.
This hour, wildlife officials say some 400,000 fish in a popular Marion County lake are dead.
A large sinkhole formed this morning in San Francisco's Presidio neighborhood.
But right now, there is extreme weather in the east and the west.
Now, the cleanup is continuing this morning in Brisbane after the city was absolutely smashed by a massive hailstorm.
This solid wall of clouds just south of Buffalo shows the power of that lake effect storm. Some areas could see up to 100 inches of snow by this weekend. And some incredible video this morning of a massive tornado tearing across a field near Dundee, South Africa.
Seas now to the Philippines, where a typhoon is bearing down. This is one of the strongest storms on the planet this year.
Japan and China are reeling from the impact of strong earthquakes with magnitudes of more than 6 that hit on Saturday.
And today the state will release numbers on how much water individual Californians are using.
The experts at the U.S. National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration told us today 2014, they say, is on track to be the warmest year on record.
Basically the shaking. God says, yet once more am I going to shake the heavens and the earth. And the shaking is going on in all realms. Even in the scripture, there's a scripture that says, shake yourselves. In other words, wake up. We're going to see class warfare. We're going to see the earthquakes, the volcanoes, the hurricanes, tsunamis, droughts, fires. It's going to come at us fast and furious. We're going to see judgment in all realms.
Climate change is one of the most fundamental challenges ever to confront humanity. Its adverse impacts are already being seen and may intensify exponentially over time if nothing is done to reduce further emissions of greenhouse gases. Decisively dealing now with climate change is key to ensuring sustainable development, poverty eradication, and safeguarding economic growth. Scientific assessment indicate that the cost of inaction now will be more costly in the future.
Climate change is the drastic change in the environment of Earth, especially pertaining to its weather pattern and climate.
Climate change for me is very alarming, especially now that we have a lot of climate changes in our environment. Like there's the sa Arctic Ocean, di ba, yung mga nagmamelt na yung ice.
A great shift in the temperature and everything. So nandun talaga na pag sinabing climate change, napakaraming weird weather occurrences nandun na, yun nga, especially, di ba ngayon nababata natin, may El Niño na sa bansa. Tapos may paparating pang bagyo. So nandun talaga na sobrang dami na nangyayari na, ang dami na talaga nangyayari. Especially sa ating bansa, na naturingan pa namang one of the most prone to disasters.
Para sa akin yung climate change, yung abnormal na pagbabago ng panahon ngayon. Biglang ulan, biglang init, kung ano ng mga pwede sa mga bagyo, El Niño, sa lahat ng natural phenomena.
Climate change is change in climate when there is unusual happening on the climate pattern. Yes.
The abnormalities in our country or in the world. Climate change is the violent or sudden change of the weather.
Ito'y isang epekto ng masama o ng hindi mabuting pagtrato ng mga tao sa ating kalikasan. Bunga ito ng kanilang pang-aabuso sa mga likas na yaman na meron ang mundo na binigay ng Diyos para sa atin.
Climate change is definitely upon us. We don't need to have a scientific mind to realize this, as recent natural calamities have shown in the Philippines, which also swept through some parts of Southeast Asia, causing hundreds of casualties and losses to the economy. Typhoon Undod, with international name Ketsana and Pepeng in 2009, that flooded Metro Manila, Sendong in 2011, which was recognized as the world's deadliest storm in 2011, and Pablo in 2012. And of course, Typhoon Yolanda or Haiyan in 2013 that devastated eastern Visayas.
The Philippines is considered as one of the most vulnerable countries to climate change, with impacts ranging from extreme weather events and periodic inundation to droughts and food scarcity. Climate change has been a constant reality that many Filipinos have had to face. Most affected areas are those living in coastal communities and the lower-rung urban communities that lack awareness on proper disaster preparedness measures to take. Climate change impacts have not only intensified from an imbalanced natural ecosystem, but every onslaught has become unpredictable.
The effects of climate change on ecological systems is clearly a critical factor as gradually increasing global temperatures are harming the natural survival capacities of various species, including plants.
In addition to this, the report also notes that the warming conditions favor the propagation and distribution of droplets and other harmful plant diseases, not to mention the risk of accelerated spoilage of carbon supplies. Needless to say, agriculturally dependent communities immediately stand to suffer the repercussions of such disease.
Living organisms are not the only things affected by climate change, even in the context of the food security issue. Climate change also does damage on the non-living systems and structures that people use to provide and distribute food supplies. Case in point, infrastructure damage risk increases as climate change influences harsher and increasingly unpredictable weather. Bridges, storage, facilities, and equipment transport system and other such means that facilitate food supply accessibility are all vulnerable to damage due to severe weather, such as in the forms of storms and typhoons. La 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 la.
Solution is wider information dissemination, especially for taking care of our environment, and also sanctions for those mga hindi susunod, mga sanctions for them para to make them care more for our environment.
I suggest to all of the students, just one simple thing, never pick a leaf or a flower, because a single leaf can help to change our environment, clean the air that we have.
Take care of the environment kasi yun talaga yung main cause kung bakit doon galing yung main cause kung bakit nagkakaroon ng climate change. Una, yung pollution. Iwasang magtapon ng basura kung saan. And then pag sa air pollution, yung mga cars, as much as possible, magpa-change sila ng oil or something. I-maintain nila yung cars nila to avoid air pollution. And then, for factories, common sa kanila yung magtapon ng waste sa environment. So, sana magkaroon sila ng alternative solution para magtapon ng waste nila at hindi na-apektuhan yung environment. For water, same with water pollution, wag na lang magsunod ng trash kasi yung usok nun really can affect sa malaki yung effect niya sa ozone layer. And then, ayun, just be responsible with everything na nangyayari sa environment.
I think people should invest more in bicycles because one of the main reasons of climate change is because of the dirty emissions of the cars around the Philippines.
Kasi sa Pilipinas, meron tayong Republic Act 9003. Maganda yung batas na yun, pero hindi siya nagagawa ng maayos. Actually, yun yung sa pinakamagandang batas na naimbento, na nagawa para sa kalikasan natin. Kasi ang layunin niya ay i-segregate, ituruan mag-segregate yung mga maliliit na grupo sa isang komunidad, for example, sa isang pamilya. Ang batas na yun, nasabi ng batas, kailangan sa pamilya pa lang, sa bahay pa lang, may proper segregation na nagaganap. At yung bawat barangay ay dapat mayroong isang facility o isang lugar din kung saan dadalhin yung mga basura yun at i-transform into something na beneficial sa tao. So, yung simpleng pagpapatupad ng RA 9003, yun yung isa sa pinakamagandang solusyon na pwede natin gawin ngayon para ma-lessen natin yung
내 손잡아 나는 여전히